What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's October 22nd, 2024. I'm Trey. That's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good, man. NBA basketball's back. Your Dodgers are in the World Series. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah, boy.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
time
looking
to.
for. I'm assuming heartbreak because obviously I'm a Tennessee guy. We didn't have a baseball team. I moved to LA, adopted the Dodgers years ago. I'm used to primarily heartbreak and despair as a Tennessee sports fan. That's all I've really ever known, except for one time when I was 12 and the Vols won the national championship. So I'm excited because it's like they're not the Dodgers. They're like them and the Yankees. They're like the two uh,
Mm,
power teams in the MLB. But still, I can't help but feel like it's going to go south. But we'll see.
yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like sports. Like people say you give kids a pet, so they learn about death. I kind of
Yeah,
like you teach your kid to be a sports fan, so they learn about despair and loving things in the face of hopelessness. Unless you're like a fan of one of the few teams that always wins, everyone else always feels like they're
I've
cursed.
been thinking about that a lot lately because I
Yeah,
was actually thinking about trying to make a bit out of it. Except I was just going to frame it as making your kid a sports fan is tantamount to child abuse, depending on where
yeah.
you're from. You know what I mean? I've told my buddies who also have kids back home. I'm like, I'm not putting Tennessee sports on my children's. Like it's been awful for most of it. Like I'd be so much happier without it. You know what I mean? But I'm hooked now. There's nothing I can do about it. But they don't need to know about all this. But like I take
Yeah.
them to Dodgers games. I'm like the Dodgers. That's fine. But hell, even that can backfire eventually. So yeah, I go
Mhm.
back and forth on it because it's mostly like you said. I think there's like 15% of American sports fans, maybe less, maybe more like 10%, who like it's just good most of the time. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everybody else, they're mostly just pissed off and upset over the
Mhm.
result all the time. It just ruins your day for something you have nothing to do with.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
really
great.
get it, but I'm in it now. Anyway,
That's
what
why
we
people write poetry, man. It's like it's so weird. It's what it's for. It's not if it's not. I remember when I was gonna get married, I had a buddy who was like, it's like one of those anti-marriage guys. Like, yeah, it's a bad idea. It's like I know it's a bad idea. People don't write poems about good ideas.
Yeah.
The Charge the Light Brigade is not about a heroic success story. It's like you're choosing to do something despite it being a bad idea. You're going to watch the other person die. Best case scenario. That's fucking what you're getting into. That's anyway. That's enough light and brightness for the. So, a couple things before we get to the show. I'm going to call this our election lie roundup. So, Rudy Giuliani today was ordered by a court to surrender his Manhattan penthouse, a bunch of luxury watches. He has a bunch of luxury watches. I was looking through it. I'm not even familiar with the brands of most of them. A signed Joe DiMaggio jersey. He's 1980 Mercedes Benz, I guess a classic car, and other valuable items to election workers Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss after a court found he defamed them. Remember he got hit with a $150 million judgment. I guess he hasn't paid it, so the court's like, okay, you can have his apartment. And I just love this. Like, this feels like a '90s sitcom premise. Like, I wish he was still had to live there and they all had to be roommates.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, that is a good setup. You're right. CBS hop all over that. But
yeah.
him and Trump must be really egregious when it comes to like defamation, I guess, because I feel like I've always heard that American laws surrounding defamation and libel are like really hard to get a judgment on. I've always
Hmm.
heard that. It's like it's really hard to prove. Like in other countries, it's not so bad, but here it's very hard to get a judgment in either of those two cases. And
Hmm.
him and Trump both have had like 9-digit judgments against them for defamation. So they must be doing some high level, egregious, very overt defaming, I imagine.
Well, their problem legally is one, they're high profile, high status people who have access to knowledge. They can find out the truth that they want, and they say lies anyway. And they also tend to attack people who aren't public figures. Like if someone's a public figure, you got to prove like not just that I know what I'm saying is incorrect about a person, but I also have to do it with actual malice, meaning like I intend to cause them damage. So I can say stuff about Rudy Giuliani, like I can say Rudy Giuliani is a pedophile.
Hmm.
He's got no legal recourse. Now, if I call regular Joe Blow down the street a pedophile and it causes him to lose his job, I can be sued. Right?
Okay.
So that's their problem. Is like Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss were just doing their jobs, working at an election, and because of some viral video they said showed them stuffing ballot boxes or whatever, it ruined their lives, got them hit with death threats, got them visited by Kanye West publicists who kind of threatened them. I don't know if you remember that part of it. And like so like they like I forget which one of the women was speaking today, but I saw a video. She's like, the money won't fix this. I can never go back to the place I called home because she's afraid people will kill her. So like they
Right.
ruin
Well,
their
yeah, I
lives,
mean,
man.
yeah,
So
that should be punished. But so you're telling me that, like, in this one corner of the American justice system, people in positions of power are disadvantaged?
yes,
Because, well, good. That's great. Well, look at that.
they found the one.
Finally got it right. Yeah. In
Yeah.
one little corner. All right. Well, I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah. So a fun little subplot to this is Giuliani apparently has 3 Yankees World Series rings that they are trying to also seize, but he says he gave them to his son Andrew, so that's going to be held up in court whether or not they can take away the World Series rings he gave to his poor special needs son Andrew. So he's special needs in spirit, but not in
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I'm not familiar with him. All right.
Just go watch the video of him talking. You'll see what I'm talking about. So, another election conspiracy theory thing. A 62-year-old man in Philadelphia was just charged with making text message threats to a state-level Republican Party employee who was trying to recruit Election Day poll observers on Facebook last month. So this person again works for the Republican Party, is trying to recruit people to harass election workers, but sanely enough, they don't get kicked out, right?
Okay.
So, and this guy responded to this Facebook post with a message, said, "Hey, I'm interested in being a poll watcher." 9 minutes later, when he didn't get a response, after 9 minutes says, "I will kill you if you don't answer me. Your days are numbered, bitch. Gonna fucking find you and skin you alive and use your skin for fucking toilet paper. You fucking..." He called her a C word, but he spelled it with 3 Ks. All right, so obviously he's the kind of person who's well suited to be a poll watcher.
Yeah. A little confused, but he's got the spirit, I guess, getting in there. And yeah, you got to give it more than 9 minutes at least for them to respond. My goodness. My wife was threatening my life every other day if 9 minutes was all it took. So did a Republican Party person posted on Facebook, "We want people to be poll watchers," and it seemed kind of shady, intimidation-y. And you're saying this person was like, "I'll kill and eat you, fascist," because of what you're doing. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. The vibes are good. Vibes are good in the run up to the election in this country. On both sides hanging in there, being reasonable, sensible.
Oh, yeah. So, speaking of which, over in Arizona, Maricopa County, votes will be counted with drones overhead and police snipers standing ready. Election workers have gone through active shooter drills and learned to barricade themselves and wield fire hoses to repel armed mobs. So you just want to work at your local county election office, you got to train to like hold the gates against a fucking zombie horde with fire hoses.
I mean, how can anybody on either side argue that we're not in a real bad spot? I guess people on both sides agree that we're in a bad spot. They just fundamentally disagree on why and how exactly we are. But still, either way, my God, dude, that's insane.
I just imagine the series of events that got us here. If you were like to do that domino meme that's popular online, and like the last step is like election workers in Maricopa County, Arizona, are trained to use fire hoses to fend off armed mobs. And the first domino was, back in 2012, the day before he killed Osama bin Laden, the sitting president of the United States went to a correspondence dinner and roasted a game show host.
I knew.
So he just died.
I knew that's where you were going with it, and you're right. I mean, you could make that domino meme. Yeah, it's like love Barry O and all that, but yes, I do. It feels like most of us trace all of this shit back to that moment, him roasting Trump that night, that fateful night, and it just we've all been paying for it ever since.
Very much a Pixar villain origin story that I got made fun of, so we have to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
Another brief story I want to talk about for a second that hurts me personally. The Black Keys, who during the 2010s were my favorite band by a wide margin, are playing a hometown Akron show for the America Loves Crypto tour, which is funny because it's backed by the pro-crypto PAC aiming to unseat Sherrod Brown in Ohio. Now, I think they're probably just doing this gig for the money. Maybe they didn't even know what they were doing.
Most of them were probably like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, because like their politics outwardly have always been like casually like fuck racist kind of thing. That's basically as into stuff as they get. But if you want to know if they knew what they were doing, they disabled comments on their Instagram post announcing the gig. And previous stops on the America Loves Crypto tour have featured the Chainsmokers. And if you went back 10 years and told the Black Keys they were going to be in the same bill as the Chainsmokers, they probably would have fucking unalived themselves. So how fast things turn, man. That's like, we could do a whole podcast about where the Black Keys sit in like the sellout industrial complex, because they did a very famous magazine interview where the takeaway was they made fun of Nickelback, but they're kind of making fun of other indie artists for quote unquote not selling out, because their whole point was, we don't come from money, we do this to make a living to support our families.
Right.
And so they were like, all these bands like, Vampire Weekend, who live in Brooklyn on an inheritance, who are making fun of them for like doing stadium tours instead of small venue gigs. It's like, we can't do that. And I just like the fact that everything's for sale in America now. I've been cooking up this meta take about how it used to be uncool for bands to put their music on commercials, and now everyone does it, and that's sort of an emblematic of like how we got here. That everything's for fucking sale. Which we're going to talk about Elon trying to buy the presidency in a little bit, but like,
it's not just bands; it's also, actors and people like that too. Like I've heard Dana Carvey talk about when he was on SNL and was red hot, was huge. He got offered some big Pepsi campaign or something, but he was like, but back then at that point in time, he was like his people were like, you can't do that. That'll see, you want to become a movie star eventually. You want to keep going up. If you become like a corporate spokesperson in advertisements, you're doomed. And now like Matthew McConaughey sells like 4 different types of things and is still a A-list movie star. But I'll say about Black Keys and selling out and politics and all that stuff, I will just point out that recently 2000s rap icon Chingy was booked to do a Donald Trump Jr. event, some MAGA event. He was headlining it. And when that got posted publicly and a lot of people were like, hey, this is fucked up, you ought not do this, Chingy backed out, as I understand. So, there's still some integrity left out there in the world.
Yeah.
And its name is Chingy.
A buddy of mine, I saw him pop up on a poster doing an RFK fundraiser, and I haven't talked to him about it, but I was talking to another friend of mine who had asked him about it. It was like his manager saw it. It was like, what? He's like, he didn't know anything about politics. He just got paid for it.
Right.
He's like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, it's stage time. What do you want?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. With us as always is producer Laura doing her thing back there. This is Weekly Skews. I want to remind y'all before we continue of a couple of quick things. First of all, you'd like to see me do stand-up live and in person, and you should want to do that. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. I'll be in Appleton, Wisconsin this weekend. Then we got Maryland, Philly, Newark, Arizona, Northern California, and then Nashville and Chicago to round out the year. But we got a ton of dates already on the books for 2025 as well. So go to TreyCrowder.com and check it out. Also, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on weeklyskews.com/more. That's our Patreon. You can also just go on Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month get you access to full-length bonus episodes. We do Q&As. We cover things that happen in the interim between shows, just other stuff we want to talk about. It's basically just this show, but more of it. So if you like this show and want more of it and want to support us in the process, sign up on the Patreon. All right. As for the episode tonight, we've all long known that that money in politics is one of the most nefarious and deteriorating effects we have currently going in American society. And it has never been more evident than it is in this here election, as hundreds of millions of dollars are being funneled into the effort to return the White House to Donald Trump, a big chunk of which points back to the man himself, the elongated muskrat himself, Elon Musk of X, formerly known as Twitter fame. We're going to talk about all that shady shit a little later, but first we begin with the Daily Dumbass. Laura, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, people who didn't know that Arnold Palmer's golf bag was packing a big old wood in it. This is Donald Trump.
This is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God. That's unbelievable. I had to say it.
All right.
This guy.
So how many political ads are you seeing in your TV watching, Trey?
I mean, I watch a lot of live sports, so I see a lot of and there in California, there's a lot of political ads. It's fun. A lot of them are like local and regional and stuff, and so it's oftentimes like basically two pretty much Democrats just trying to prove which one is the bigger, Democrat or whatever. But there's also I do see Harris and Trump ads, and the Trump one that I see the most out here, but also I'm on the road a lot. The Trump one I see the most by far is talking about how Kamala is for they, them, and Trump is for us. And they put like Photoshop pictures of dudes with lipstick on and wearing dresses, and it's just like very overtly transphobic.
Yeah,
so that's the most common one I see, I think.
One of them has a short clip of Jonathan from Queer Eye in it. And I'm like, I thought everyone agreed. I know there's like Hollywood backstories about how he's a diva to work with or whatever, but I thought everyone in general like had loved and accepted the Queer Eye guys. But now I guess we're turning back on that. It's like I watch my live sports feeds from Texas, so we have a lot of Ted Cruz ads, and it's all stuff about like Colin Allred wanting boys and girls locker rooms or stuff like that. So like Colin Allred, who played football for Baylor and then the Tennessee Titans, right, is apparently too woke and gay to represent Texas, but Ted Cruz is the paragon of masculine virtue or something. I can't really make sense of it, but like you said, like, because we're talking money in elections tonight, like, I see keeping ads. I'm not going to call the guy out by name because I haven't done deep research into what, but like, he's got a D next to his name, but he's getting wall-to-wall ads blanketed for a school board seat, and I think he's funded by like a MAGA psycho billionaire to do anti-woke shit. I'm like, why the fuck are you spending millions of dollars on a school board? Anyway. But the transphobic stuff is so weird, and we're going to talk more about it later because I think a lot of it's just being funded by Elon. Because it didn't work in 2022, so it doesn't really make sense why they lean harder into it unless something fundamentally has changed about the electorate that I don't see. But like, the main thing I'm going to take away from him talking about Arnold Palmer's dick is the candidate flooding every single sporting event with transphobic anti-gay slime did 20 minutes talking about how he and other fellas in the shower couldn't stop staring at Arnold Palmer's dick. And we're supposed to act like this is like some sort of sincerely held point of view or something. Well,
dude, the whole thing with all these alpha males and stuff, or like Andrew Tate types or whatever, basically said, or have literally said that like having sex with a woman is kind of gay, really, because there's been like other dicks in there and stuff, and so that makes it gay. And it's like nothing is less gay than hanging out with a bunch of shirtless, oiled up bros who are also muscly and shit like that. And everything about it is just so insane. I also think when I see that ad that I'm talking about that ends with those Photoshop pictures of like very masculine dudes, but in a dress, photoshopped into a dress with lipstick on their mouths and stuff like that, and it's bright red lipstick, it's like, I really do believe that well, as long as we get this next election and hopefully the ones after that right, I really think that type of shit is gonna look like old blackface ads to us, the way we look back at overtly racist ads and things like that from the past, and white people in blackface and all that. I think it's going to look like that to people in the future. Like, I can't believe that was just on network TV and one of the mainstream political candidates, because it's just so like nasty and hateful for no good reason, really. I mean, like, especially considering it hasn't seemed to have actually worked much, electorally speaking. So
yeah. The funniest part about the Arnold Palmer thing was I read a piece from a sports reporter who debunked it because he actually talked to a bunch of people who had showered with Arnold Palmer, and it's like, this is just not true. So they got a newspaper to fact check that Arnold Palmer actually has a medium to small dick. Was the funniest part of all this.
Yeah.
Arnold Palmer's ghost is to be so mad.
I know, that's what I was thinking too, dude. Yeah, Arnold Palmer, if his spirit's out there watching, is like, he's like, why did I get brought into this in the first place?
What I do?
It's like, right, yeah. Why you been talking about me? And then especially when it ends with like, actually his dick wasn't that big, and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, we just focus on my lemonade drink anyway.
Yeah.
So
silly. The mainstream Washington media does seem to have started noticing that his brain don't work good. I'm not sure why it took him this long to understand, like, to actually pay attention to what he's saying at his rallies and stuff doesn't actually connect. So the AP did this piece, and then CBS News has done some coverage of it. And I'm like, okay, finally, some swing voters who don't really pay close attention might notice that forget the racism and the evil. They might notice he's also just kind of lost it upstairs. So this headline is like, Trump would be the oldest person to become president. He's not sharing health details. But here's what, like, there's a whole section there talking about his rallies and how disconnected his rhetoric is from anything approaching what he's supposed to be talking about. Let me quote here. Trump's public appearances are often marked by rambling. He regularly confuses timelines, events, and people. At a town hall style forum in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Trump seemed to have no recollection of meeting with a severely injured veteran and his family. The veteran's wife noted that, quote, you visited with him many times, end quote, and, quote, you just saw him this summer. He just didn't remember the guy. And if you remember the coverage of Trump and veterans, he definitely remembers the amputees because he's horrifically grossed out by them. He asked them to not be put in the same room with them, so like he would remember this guy. At a rally in Wisconsin, he seemed to squint at teleprompters as he lurched from subject to subject. He described the country as, quote, a third world hellhole, and then told his audience, remember there's a hat that's made that sells like crazy, before interrupting himself to comment on a fly. Oh, there's a fly. I wonder where the fly came from. See, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had a fly up here. You're changing rapidly. So the country's going to hell because he won't pay to rent indoor spaces, so he goes outdoors and sees flies. So that means the country's a third world hellhole. I'm trying to make sense of this, which is probably a mistake.
Well, dude, I mean, it's wild. Like, even for him, like, he's particularly weird and off the rails lately. And it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know how, people just pretend like it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, he had this kind of like pro wrestler heel type juice when he came out in 2016. And he was brazen and absurd and everything in a lot of ways that drove many of us mad who have working brains and stuff. But like now it's like, I don't know, old man yells at cloud type stuff, or just stares oddly at cloud for a while. We talked last week about the dancing around the music for 40 minutes. There was another one where like his mic cut out or something. So he just kind of wandered around the stage for like 15 minutes without doing or saying anything. And also they're not, he's canceled every remotely legitimate interview or appearance he's had. He's only doing like the most friendly atmosphere places where he's going to get nothing but softballs or his own rallies. And then even at his own rallies, he's like putting people off. Like he just like, I don't know, like he's not doing great. It seems like
no, he's fallen asleep at multiple rallies in the last few weeks. Like it's like he's also they seem to be they're calling his normal stump speeches like Q&As. He doesn't do anything differently or actually take any cues. He just like he's done that way so you can sit down the whole time, which like I'd want to sit down too if I was going to be talking for an hour and a half. But like I don't. It's fucking bizarre. But like even the stuff he's supposed to be talking about, he goes off the rails. Let's watch this video right here of him trying to talk about immigration, and you're never going to guess where he's going with it.
Do you believe they have a phone app for the criminal cartels to call up? Hello, this is Jose Rodriguez. I'd like to know, where do I dispose of my illegal migrants? And they tell you. Do you believe that?
All right. So, Department of Homeland Security, Immigration Customs has like an app for people to apply for, start the paperwork process as they approach the border to let the government know they're here and they're applying for asylum and shit. Well, we've made fun of it before because how many of them have apps, and like there was a point where it was only in English. Anyway, it's one of those stupid fucking things. But he apparently has learned about this, and what he thinks is for the cartels to coordinate with the U.S. government, the Democratic Party, to know where to drop off illegals so Joe Biden can bust them to cities to vote or something. I don't know. So that's his organized thought process. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, we talk about this every week, but it's like, what drives me so crazy about this is watching clips like that and being like, God damn, this dude is so far gone. Yeah, that's what I think. But then thinking about how like all the people in that room, well, not even just in that room, everybody that saw that clip, who's down with MAGA to begin with, they hear that and they're like, they got a phone. You heard they got a phone app? Then they go to like the office the next day or whatever and talk, or call up their cousin and shit and talk about the phone app that they're running. The Biden administration's doing. They're doing that. They do, like they just buy it. The whole shit with like FEMA shooting people in North Carolina or whatever the hell they think they're doing. Like they just hear that stuff and just roll with it. Like to us, it's like I can't believe how brazenly insane this all is to say because it's so demonstrably untrue. But so many people just hear it and they're like, man, That's awful. It's awful that
It's
they're doing that, and it's like
yeah.
it's upsetting.
The maddening part to me is there are Americans who work with the cartels. They're called banks. They launder their money, and they get caught doing it. And one of them is a guy who owns one of them is currently running as a Republican Senate candidate for Wisconsin. His name's Eric Hovde. So like, it's like if you want to know who's helping out the cartels, there you go. But yeah, the Trump's brain is mush. And what a lot of people realized, including I think Elon, is that Trump's not going to be he's going to be a zombie president. And he's going to be a puppet president. And people should try cozying up to him. So let's talk about Elon and what he's up to.
All right.
So the scale of Elon's intervention in this election is kind of fucking unprecedented. I was trying to think of like corollaries, maybe William Randolph Hearst or like the business plot where a bunch of people tried to overthrow FDR and install a military dictator in the lead up to World War II. It's like he's pushing like every theoretical envelope of what we thought was kind of legal or illegal. Like he's running the Trump field operation. He's buying votes with $1 million lotteries. We'll get into that. He's flooding house races with cash and even AI-generated ads. We're not going to have time to get into that. But they're all just fundamentally fucking dishonest, unethical. He set up a fake Kamala Harris website with fake issue positions and is running like a phishing campaign, pretending to be the Kamala campaign, referring people to the website and sending out mailers in Pennsylvania. There's like nothing he's not doing, and in a campaign based upon like nothing but fucking bullshit, he's somehow making it worse. Like Trump's, technically speaking, if you believe like I do, he still basically has Project 2025's agenda, wants to make video games illegal, while Elon is doing events for gamers, saying we need to elect Trump so he can make video games not woke again.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, look, I think there's a lot. I saw someone else point out earlier on Twitter, it's on Twitter, but it was, I don't know the source of this poll or whatever, but it said that like Trump was leading among Arab Americans right now in the polls. And the quote tweet I saw said like, actively voting for your own deportation is wild, but it's like, there's a lot of that type of thing. Like people that, most types of people in this country would be worse off as a result of of a Trump presidency, but still big chunks of a lot of those demographics of people are going to line up to vote for him. Hell, honestly, our people, poor rural white people are near the top of that list. So
yeah, like it's the what's the matter with Kansas thing, right? Where like people vote against their own economic self-interest, but also like rich liberals also vote against their own economic self-interest. So because they prioritize other stuff, I think that's better. I think it's like, oh, of course Trump would cut my taxes, but I prefer women to have rights. I find that better, but it's still like it's a thing everybody does in a lot of ways. So because you prioritize other stuff, they prioritize being able to. I don't know, if they think Kamala's going to take away your guns, they want to make abortion illegal, so they prioritize that over their own income.
Yeah, but don't you think that the basic difference in those two things is just empathy, though, right? It's like I'll vote against my own self-interest because I actually do care about what happens to other people who have nothing to do with me, versus I'll vote against my own self-interest because I care about hurting other people. I disagree with because I completely lack empathy with. I really do feel like that's what a lot of it comes down to.
It is. They also probably think they'll be able to get an abortion when they need one because they're having a medical problem, but they're going to be surprised and sorely mistaken.
I can't tell you how many times over the course of my life, especially being from where I'm from, that I've heard a person who I know very well say some version of like, "Well, I need my food stamps." Right, like that type of thing is, runs wild. So,
but unfortunately, we live in a country where the interests of a very small group of people actually matter, and so Kamala has got a ton of money, not just from Wall Street and big donors, but also a bunch of small money donors. But like the Trump campaign's basically been funded by a handful of people. Because even the small dollar Republican donors are typically taken in by scams. So that money just ends up in some grifter's pocket. So the actual campaign money is coming from Elon Musk, Miriam Adelson, the owner of my Dallas Mavericks, Dick Wheeline. They've combined to give $220 million to the pro-Trump efforts. All right. Tim Mellon, a reclusive billionaire, which I hate. I don't know if you can call him reclusive when he's given 25 million. He just pumped another 25 million into a Trump super PAC called MAGA Inc., which raises his total up to 150 million so far this cycle. One guy has given 150 million dollars to sway this election, and that pales. I can't even get a good handle on how much Elon spent. I've seen multiple different PACs say he's given between 70 to 100 million dollars to multiple different things. That doesn't count the in-kind donation of the shit he's doing on Twitter, where when I flip over to my For You tab, it's nothing but pro-Trump content. And it's just like one of those things where like there are a lot of reasons to tax these fucking psychos. Even if you're, I brought this up on the show before, but even if you're not going to spend on anything good, you can put it in a big pile and burn it. It will be better than this fucking shit.
Right.
A democracy can't survive like this.
No. I mean, yeah, we need to tax them, but also it's just they shouldn't be able to do that in the first place. You know, like, I mean, both things are true. But yeah, it's just imagine the number of lives that could have been literally saved, or the amount of good that could have been done with that, whatever the sum of money is, you just tallied up by listing out all these billionaires' contributions to the Trump effort. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Could have fed 10 million kids school lunches with the money that they spent on ads to with photoshops of men in dresses trying to scare people. So like we really got to get a handle on money in politics, and I don't know how we do it with the Supreme Court, like Citizens United and all the various decisions they made with campaign finance. Like a reason I said I can't get a handle on how much money Elon spent is because a lot of it's dark money. He doesn't have to disclose it because of the pretense that super PACs don't coordinate with campaigns and they're buying issue ads. Issue ads saying, trans people aren't human or whatever. That's an issue ad. It's not connected to a campaign theoretically, so you don't have to say. And because money is speech, right? And that's very valuable speech to harass trans people. And also, like, all the Supreme Court decisions basically legalizing bribery makes all this stuff, like, super cool. Not just, like, legal, but good, So here we are. And, like, I just want to point this out because, like, when Trump loses, I think he's going to lose. Knock on wood. I think that's the main thing everyone agrees on is who might be watching this is we want Trump to lose. People's enthusiasm for Kamala might vary, but I think we all want MAGA-ism to fucking die 1,000 deaths. But they're all going to be shocked because a lot of this money is being spent trying to make Trump's victory look inevitable. Right?
Yes. Not to get ahead of us here, but like, presumably isn't that so if and when he does lose, then a lot of people will be primed to say there's no way this was legitimate. This clearly was stolen. It's been set up and presented to people. It's like, oh, he's got it in the bag, and it's being presented that way for that eventuality, so that millions of people, when he doesn't win, will be like, there's no way. There's no way that's legit. They clearly stole this, and then we got another January 6th times 5 or whatever the hell it is. It's bad. Because
they're not just buying the influence of politicians anymore. They're trying to buy the influence of the mob by distorting reality, right? So, like I've been seeing so there's a betting market called Polymarket where you can bet on the presidential election, and four anonymous traders. Now, you're theoretically not supposed to bet on the presidential election if you live in the United States, but people are betting with crypto, so no one knows where they're from. It could be American citizens. It could be Elon. It could be somebody in Russia. It could be people in China. It could be fucking anybody, right? But 4 anonymous traders have basically invested enough crypto to move the Polymarket betting odds, where it currently has Trump as a 62% favorite to win the election. I've seen this get passed around online like it's Nate Silver's like poll model. It's just a betting market where 4 people have moved the odds.
Right.
It's
lines in betting markets and stuff move based on where the money is. So if a bunch of people are just pumping it into Trump winning, that's going to change what the betting odds are on it, but it not because of any like real world reason, just because of where the money's at.
Right. So 4 people bet $30 million on a Trump victory and therefore move the odds. And now a bunch of morons think that means Trump's going to win. All right.
Right.
So let's get directly into stuff Elon's doing directly. Let's watch this video of him at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania from, I think, Saturday night. But it was definitely over the weekend. If you got this, Laura.
have a surprise for you, which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
All right. Okay, Laura. So if you register to vote and then go to a Trump/Elon rally and sign a petition to protect the First and Second Amendments, you're entered into a drawing to win $1 million. And if he draws your name, he brings you up on stage and hands you a big check. All right? Like a novelty check. This is, if you're wondering, like, did no one else ever think to do this before? Well, no, because it's fucking illegal as shit.
Right.
It's one of those things that, like, no one would do it because it's illegal, but it's not really clear what could happen to you. So, because, again, we all have to play by these rules all day, and we got this fucking psychopath South African billionaire who hates America, who's just doing this shit because he doesn't think anyone will ever hold him accountable, and no one probably will. All right? He's also, like, paying people $100 each to refer voters to register, which is also illegal. So
I think I'm still kind of confused on how all this shit works, but you just say he's paying people to register to vote, which is also illegal. But I think also Cards Against Humanity, that board game or whatever, people like the transgressive board game, they launched a thing that's like incentivizing people to sign up for that, but to put their thing into it. So the money goes to their super PAC, which they're using to fund Kamala's campaign or something like that. So they're basically like using a loophole to get Elon to pay for, Kamala ads or something like that. And Cards Against Humanity is the one who are, they're the ones who are doing that particular take on it. But I know a lot of people are like trying to find ways to fuck with Elon's, his particular grift he's got going here. But it is weird. It seems like it should be just baldly illegal, all of it.
Yeah.
But he's literally the richest man on earth, and it's like, what is really illegal?
Nothing.
When you're that guy,
he could hunt humans for sport in that fucking Pennsylvania field, and the federal government wouldn't do shit.
And he might. We don't know that he doesn't.
But technically, federal law does make it a crime for anyone who, quote, pays or offers to pay or accepts payment either for registration to vote or for voting. It's punishable by up to 5 years in prison, I think, per counts. Every time he gives away $1 million or pays somebody $100 to register, that should be another 5 years in fucking prison he's eligible for. But he's just out there walking around trying to fucking buy America. And no one's doing shit. Although once people pointed out it was illegal, I don't know if he didn't look it up or whatever, or no one can tell him his business. They tweaked the language around the sweepstakes. They made it. They reframed the giveaway as a job opportunity, saying winners, quote, will be selected to earn $1 million as a spokesperson for America PAC. So now you're not winning a lottery. You're winning a lottery to have a job that pays $1 million. You see the workaround here, Trey? Fucking brilliant shit, man. No one's gonna figure out this ruse.
It feels to me like even that version of it should be illegal, meaning like making a job opportunity just like an open lottery for any person.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
dude, this is a slip and fall on a store level ruse. Like any fucking prosecutor, you can't work around the law like that. Not when a cop or a prosecutor's trying.
Right.
But also another way this is illegal. Gambling's illegal in Pennsylvania. You can't even fucking run a bingo game, and he's out there giving $1 million from a drawing. Now, so how this would play out in real life, he'd probably get a cease and desist order from the DOJ, and then if you stopped, it would be fine. The closest analogy to this happening in the recent past is Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company. A few years ago, they offered free ice cream cones to people with I voted stickers, and they got a cease and desist order from the federal government. Instead, just gave free ice cream cones to everybody. So that was their workaround. That's how Ben & Jerry's.
Great. Good for them. That's awesome. Love Ben & Jerry's. Love ice cream. I'm a fat kid, but they were offering free ice cream cones to anybody who votes. Period.
Yeah.
And that got a cease and desist letter from the DOJ. But Elon is not. Like there hasn't been anything from the like. What the hell are they doing? Why would they not? I mean, it's the fucking Biden administration, isn't it? Like what? Like if you could do that for ice cream cones, surely to God you could do it for $1 million grand prize or whatever.
Bro, only people have said anything about this, as far as public officials that I've seen, is a group of former Republican prosecutors and like former Republican officials of the DOJ sent a letter to the DOJ complaining about this. CBS News reported today, the DOJ did confirm receiving the letter. That's all they said about it. The only people ready to think about this are fucking Republicans. And I would like someone to add, like, someone please see if Merrick Garland can fog a mirror.
I know, bro. Merrick Garland,
Useless.
He couldn't be more useless, man. He's completely worth like it. I mean, good Lord. Like,
right. So also the recipients of this money are also guilty under federal law. So if you accept the money, you could either be fined up to $10,000, which of course isn't a big deal if you got $1 million. But you can sentenced to prison for up to 5 years. Now, there are points in my life where I would have gladly spent 5 years in prison for $1 million. Sure. But this is going to be an interesting trade-off for people to do the math.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because you know that they would actually put the regular person who wins this sweepstakes in jail. You know what I mean? But the guy who funded 15 of them or whatever, nothing.
Nothing.
Ain't that America?
Yeah.
Land of the free, baby.
So another thing Elon's doing is like a scam with micro-targeted ads. Micro-targeted ads have been an annoyance of mine since like 2016 in Cambridge Analytica, because like in a democracy, you'd like to think we're all operating from the same like issues and facts, right? That's how we should decide this stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you can get served custom bespoke ads based upon your Facebook likes and preferences, and other people will not even know what ads you saw, so they can't even debate you about the underlying message of the issues.
Right.
Right. So so what he's doing, and 4 Media and the Huffington Post both reported on this. Elon Musk funded PAC is micro-targeting Muslim people in Michigan and Jewish people in Pennsylvania with opposite messaging about Kamala Harris using zip code targeting, basically to focus on neighborhoods around mosques and synagogues. And not that Elon's also a dumbass, so like none of this stuff works great, but they're also targeting the town of Hanover, Pennsylvania for some reason. And the closest anybody can come up with figuring out why is Utz Potato Chips Factory is in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and they make kosher products and have a rabbinic coordinator. So maybe some Google keywords said that the Utz factory is Jewish, and so they're targeting the Utz factory with pro-Israel message. Anyway, so I wanted
real quick. I'm sorry, this is completely pointless. I just can't not ask. Is there an issue with shellfish in the Jewish religion or no?
Yeah.
Because is there? Okay. Because Utz, I think, has got them crab chips, which I like. So again, that's what I think of. That's good. So I don't think they're that hardcore, because that's one of my preferred items that they have is they got the Utz crab chips. So you know they can't be.
I'm not saying all their chips are kosher, but I bet their dill pickle ones are. You know,
they just right. They just have some kosher chips. Anyway, dude, who knows? But the targeted. It's one of those things where it's like for a long time when I was like, okay, if my phone picks up that I'm a hopeless Tennessee Vols fan, so then Facebook feeds me like Josh Heupel as Bobby Hill T-shirts, right? Like you're killing me, Vols, those types of shirts. Whatever. That's like hell, that's just robots being smart, I guess. But when you get to a time like this, in a context like this, it really highlights how problematic a lot of that shit is. And the reason that like personal data and all that stuff is so important is because of stuff like this, the things they can do, how hyper targeted and hyper focused propaganda campaigns can be in the world we live in.
Facebook builds an AI model of your personality based upon your likes and dislikes and what posts you like. So like they know stuff about you and your personality and what drives you than like your spouse does, because so they'll be like, oh well, like he likes this band and this sporting team is from this era, so there's like a 98% probability that he votes this way for this reason, so therefore we should serve him this ad, even if you don't have any political stuff on your Facebook. So like it's scary fucking shit. Everyone thinks they can't be easily manipulated by propaganda. But that's why I wanted to watch these ads, because like the jarring difference in tones is weird to me, and I wanted to like see if you clocked it too. Here's an ad for Jewish voters in Pennsylvania, like what they're being served up.
Two-faced Kamala Harris is secretly campaigning for Palestine and trying to get away with it.
I will not be silent about the scale of human suffering in Gaza. including the death of far too many innocent civilians. Our common humanity compels us to act.
Kamala Harris, stop pandering to Palestine and stand with our ally Israel.
You can cut it, Laura. All right, so now if you can load up this next ad that's being served to Muslim voters in Michigan and clock this very different tone from this ad, and I want I don't know why, and I don't want to presume this for any good reason because, like I said, Elon's stupid, and this is a stupid thing to be doing. But here we go.
Harris has made herself clear. She stands with Israel and the Jewish people. Kamala Harris gets it. We can trust her.
You don't always know where Kamala Harris stands. She's changed.
So Jewish people in Pennsylvania are getting a straight up attack ad about how Kamala loves Muslims.
Right.
Muslim people in Michigan are getting an ad about how much, a very positive vibe ad about how much Kamala loves Israel.
It's like backdoored. It's like it's like no, you're weird, or you're right. The tone of the two is different. It's like maybe it's like I don't know. It's like you said, I don't want to give Elon too much credit for being shrewd or anything about this, but it's like it just feels like the second one feels like maybe they think that Muslim voters in Michigan or whatever would be suspicious of something, framing that as bad. So it's like to frame it as a good thing, but knowing that they won't like it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that they'll be more receptive to that. I mean, it's probably something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But some of these, this is like a whole compilation of these ads, though, and they all are positive in tone.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them also, I'm sorry, I couldn't help but pick up on, and we're seeing some of them here right now. A lot of them are just focused because they're like little 10, 15-second ads and a bunch of them put together. A lot of them are kind of just pointing out that she's married to a Jewish guy. Like some of them are literally like, just like, he will be America's first Jewish presidential spouse. And it's like, that's the whole ad or whatever.
I think we've arrived at the through line here. Both are anti-Semitic.
Right.
the premise of the first one is that Jewish people are easily manipulated, bloodthirsty psychos who want to kill Muslims. Yeah. And the message of the second one is having a Jewish husband's bad.
Right.
Right. So I don't know what to make of any of this, but I think it's pretty disgusting. And the fact that we're going through an election cycle where two diametrically opposite things are both sort of feel true, even if you pay attention.
Right.
And you could watch both those and be like, yeah, I fucking agree with both of them, and you're probably at least a little bit right.
Right.
He's also, this same pack is also targeting black voters in battleground states with ads that say Democrats are going to ban menthol cigarettes.
It's like they added that to their list along with like, hey, Trump's been arrested. Trump's like basketball shoes, all that stuff, all the like blatantly racist black pandering things that they were doing for a while there. Yeah.
And if you have access to Facebook's back-end data, because you opt into different interest groups when you buy these ads, if you have access to those tools, you can see what interest groups are being targeted, and the interest groups are being targeted with the ads that Democrats want to ban menthol cigarettes. Is if you like hip hop music and sneakers. So there you go. I mentioned he's running like a fake website of Kamala Harris issue positions. It's called Project 2028. I spent a bunch of money on this. The organization that's doing this that Elon's funding is called Building America's Future. It's a dark money group, so we don't know who else is donating to it, but they did get $100 million from Elon. One hoax text impersonates the Harris campaign and claims she supports schools in Grand Rapids offering sex change operations to students without interference from parents. Some of the policies listed in Progress 2028 highlight disproven and misleading claims about Harris's positions. They include empowering undocumented immigrants, building our future, and expanding Medicaid to undocumented immigrants. And I want to quote here, undocumented immigrants are the backbone of our country, and by removing barriers, we unlock incredible potential. Now, the thing about this is, to me, it's fucking true.
Right.
But it's also not something that an American politician would ever say out loud.
Right.
It also accuses her, it says she will support a nationwide mandatory gun buyback program. And she will ban fracking and phase out internal combustion engines and roll out the most progressive Green New Deal yet. Now, again, I wish we lived in a planet where these are some stuff to say inbounds in American politics, but it's fucking not. So like, only a moron would think she's actually saying this out loud on the website. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of the stuff that they like present as being horrifically evil liberalism or whatever. It's like, well, that's not even true. She's not even doing that. But I do wish she was doing some of that. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like you don't understand. Like, no, the problem is that they're not doing some of that. Well, you know, for a lot of us on the other side, but I guess that's not a good thing to point out right now. Freak them out even more than they already are.
If I, like, if you say like something that like I believed, I think poor people should be able to poor kids should be able to go to the doctor even if their parents are losers. You're presented as a fucking communist in America. Right.
Yeah.
So, but luckily for us, maybe the saving grace of this is that Elon's stupid. So like like I said, because Trump's stealing all of his campaign money, he doesn't have a ground operation. So Elon's just started one on his own. And a bunch of people have signed up to be canvassers for Trump and just aren't doing it. They're just checking the box saying they knocked on doors and sitting like, but meanwhile, the GPS data shows one of them here was one of the activity logs, for instance, showed a canvasser who was marked by GPS as sitting at Guayos on the Trail restaurant half a mile away from the doors he was supposedly hitting in Globe, Arizona. Another canvasser was recorded marking voters as not home 2 blocks away from that apartment. So we're talking about a rate of 24% in Arizona and 25% of door knocks in Nevada were flagged as false. So a quarter of the money is just fully being wasted. And it's about to go up because all these canvassers are passing around how-to videos on TikTok on how to like use GPS spoofing apps. So even if they're tracking your GPS, they won't know you're at the wrong location. So you can just fully hang out at Guayos on the Trail restaurant and eat tortilla chips till your heart till your heart explodes. So please keep stealing Elon's fucking money. So why do we think he's doing this?
Yeah, I mean,
hundreds of millions of dollars is a lot of money, even to the world's richest.
I know, that's what I was thinking earlier. It's like, man, that is. I know you always just assume that they're doing it because they get the tax breaks and they'll make more money, but it's like, is the game really that long or that big that it comes out to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, makes it a good ROI or whatever? And maybe it is, but it's also like, I feel like at least part of it for him is that he's gotten so wrapped up in the the identity part of it all. Like he was a hero to so many people for so long. And for a long time, nobody really had much of a problem with him other than people that just hated all billionaires, period. But I've said before, I'm ashamed of it now. But years and years ago, there was a point in time where I was like, no, he's one of the good ones. Listen to him talk. He wants to solve some of our problems. He's whatever, I really did believe that. And so for a long time, it's like he wasn't, right. He was a hero to a lot of people and not a villain to very many people. And then he kind of showed his true colors a little bit during COVID and whatnot. And people started realizing like this guy kind of sucks. And now that they've piled on, accurately pointing out that he sucks in a lot of ways, he's got such a fragile ego and everything that he has to push back very hard in the other direction and show those people that they need to go fuck themselves, basically. I think it's a similar thing that's happened with like Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle, not on the level that Elon Musk is on, but where it's like, you start getting pushback from one side and you're just like, well, fuck you then. And then you just go as hard as you can in the other direction. And I think, and then while he was doing that, he was getting sucked off by the people on that side, the alt-right and everything. And he liked that too. And then that just snowballed into this one big, avalanche of bullshit that he's been pulling recently. I mean, that's what my theory is. I got
taken in by his original marketing. The way Tesla was marketed, it was a good idea because there were no other electric car companies really. And he's like, well, we're gonna make electric cars cool so people want them by marketing high-end ones to celebrities, and then we'll be able to use that to fund down market pivots, and we're gonna expand. We're gonna have nationwide charging that'll fund like a transition to nationwide charging stations. Like, that's great. The problem was that was just a pitch. The reality was it was a scam. It was a scam the whole fucking time. I was just too stupid to see through it. But so I think part of it is, so he definitely turned hard right on social issues once his son became his trans daughter and his daughter disowned him because he was fucking cruel about it. Right?
Right.
So that's why when he talks about the woke mind virus, he's talking about his daughter. One thing Silicon Valley people, remember earlier I mentioned that because Trump's going to be a zombie brain dead president, that a lot of people are just pivoting to be like his courtiers or whatever, to be the guy whispering into his ear like the
Worm tongue.
Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So like Silicon Valley people, because they, that's an industry town, and they gossip just like Hollywood has TMZ and what DC has Politico and shit. And what they're saying is that Elon, because he can never be president himself, because he wasn't born here, that this is as close as he can come, and he thinks he deserves to run the federal government. And Trump's obviously, he's announced he will make him director of government efficiency, so he'll be able to, basically slash and cut whatever federal departments he wants, which is what the job of the fucking president, I guess. And that brings us to this. This is an article from the New York Times about what might be, the New York Times. U.S. agencies fund and fight with Elon Musk. A Trump presidency could give him power over them. So we've talked before about his weird ability to ignore the federal government because he has so much power over them, because he's such a big military and defense contractor and all kinds of contractors. Basically, NASA can't function without him. Neither can the Defense Department. He makes about $3 billion across 100 different contracts last year with 17 different federal agencies. And the Times found 20 recent investigations and reviews, including over the safety of his Tesla cars and environmental damage caused by his rockets. So basically, if Trump wins, he'll be able to end federal investigations into his workplace malfeasance, including, getting his workers killed at Tesla factories and SpaceX factories and all that shit. And like Tesla's being sued for being horrifically racist, where employees call each other the N-word on the floor. So what he's mad about, and this fucking floored me, all right? Here's quoting here from the Times. He has questioned a rule that required SpaceX to obtain a permit for discharging large amounts of potentially polluted water from its launch pad in Texas. He's mad, not that the government's stopping him from polluting, but that he needs to fill out a form before he pollutes.
Right.
I just I will never understand these motherfuckers, and the reason he's mad about it, because he thinks it's his job to save humanity by getting us to Mars. And again, I do not want to fucking live on Mars. He says that limiting this kind of oversight could help SpaceX reach Mars sooner, so long as it's not smothered by bureaucracy, he wrote on X, his social media platform. Quote, the Department of Government Efficiency is the only path to extending life beyond Earth. Again, they only call it the Department of Government Efficiency because of Dogecoin. This whole thing's a fucking stupid joke to him that he wants to take over the federal government and make it so
serious about that?
Yes.
Oh my god, dude. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. He's such a memey shitlord online anyway. It's totally believable, but it's just so pathetic, the whole thing. But it's also, it's like he had his whole thing. He's like, I'm going to save humanity. And for a while, people were like, he's going to do it. And then, but at a certain point, like, especially during COVID or whatever, he's like, well, you have no right to tell me what I should and should not do. Don't you understand? I'm trying to save humanity, right? And it's like, so I should just be able to do whatever I want to do because I am the hero here. And the government should have no power over me at all. And it's like, and then that's, now it's snowballed into him pushing back, and he wants to become the government to remove all the roadblocks and everything, because as we all know, we can just trust billionaire corporate overlords with our well-being and our water supply and the air and anything else. That's been proven true over the course of centuries. So obviously he's right about that. But yeah, it's like a how dare you type of thing with him, like I want to help you all. How dare you impose any restrictions on me? And he just can't have that, Yeah.
And by the way, this is another small tidbit of what's going on in the world. Twitter now has a Northern District of Texas forum selection clause in its terms of service. So if you sign up for an X account, or if you agree to their terms of service, if you need to sue them for whatever reason, say they're like, they cause a pylon of hate between their algorithm that makes you have to move from your house because of death threats. All their lawsuits will now be heard in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas in Tarrant County, where I used to live, which is the judge that sits there is a Tesla investor by the name of Reed O'Connor. So your only recourse if you want to sue Twitter is to have your case heard in front of a guy who owns a bunch of Tesla stock. The government already works for him in so many ways. He just wants to turn it into a fucking direct report. And I just want to say this because I mentioned it up top. read here from this Semaphore headline. Anti-trans ads didn't work in 2022. Republicans think this time will be different. And I didn't see any solid reason why they think it would work this time, except for this one quote buried deep in there where a Republican consultant says that one development that helped, quote, Elon Musk bought Twitter. So now actually they can spread these hateful messages far and wide so they seem more acceptable to people because a lot of reporters are seeing them in their feeds. So it seems like the Overton window has moved where these attacks are legitimate. Right. I'm like, that's fucking bleak. And that doesn't even count as a campaign donation, the way it's framed legally. So we got to fucking, I don't know, burn down the Supreme Court and elect an entirely new government. Or these people, psychotic billionaires like this, he's not going to be the last one, man. He's not going to be the last fucking one. Mm-mm. So Peter Thiel's already tried it with the Senate. And so I don't understand these aspiring tyrants because they almost all end up dead. And when you put yourself in a position where the only way people can escape your tyranny is by killing you, it feels like a bad place to put yourself in, man. I don't know. I don't get it. They all think they're going to be the one to figure it out, though. So there we go.
Yeah, eventually they're going to push everybody too far. But also, it's like with all the outsized amount of influence they all have, still they are at least on the verge of losing. And I guess we'll find out in 2 weeks' time. So it ain't the chapter's not written yet, everybody. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I want to remind you, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. Come and see me this weekend in Appleton, Wisconsin, and everywhere else I'm going in the future. And support the show on Patreon. Get 2 extra episodes a month by going to weeklyskews.com/more or going on Patreon and looking up my name. Either way works. Either way, if you keep watching us on Skews here every Tuesday night, we'll keep